every time without failure, no matter how much you wiggle it.
Look, can you see that? Oh!
Oh.
Shiny, nice. Oh boy.
Oh my God, the rust under here. And I'm gonna get a second opinion. The results of said advice. I think people throw around the word scam probably a bit too much. The truth of the matter is, I am angry. I'm just very annoyed that basically I have been, I've been scammed on. This is my 1992 Mercedes S-Class that was due to be scrapped. And that's because she was a non-runner. Now somehow, somehow, with a little bit of persuasion, a tiny little bit of know-how, and quite frankly, a lot of luck, I managed to get this car running enough to drive her a few miles from my house here to the workshop. And I did that journey in one go without turning the engine off because quite frankly, I was worried that this car was going to cut out or stall and I'd never get it going again. And lo and behold, I parked this car in here, turned the engine off, and I haven't fiddled with a single thing to make this happen. It simply will not start up again. But I have made some further discoveries. I've been digging into it a little bit. Let me show you. Right, so when I say I hadn't fiddled with this car, I hadn't at the point that it died again. I have fiddled with it now and it's still not working. So just for starters, I pulled out all of the plugs and you can see they are running real rich. Every single one of them. So there's obviously still something going on with the fuel delivery. So that is very much something that I'm going to dig into, but I don't think that's my issue. That's not what's preventing this car from starting again. Now you can see here I've actually pulled apart a lot of the interior here, and I'll get onto that in a minute, but I just want to show you something. So if you turn the key, you can hear the fuel pump prime, you can see all the lights on the dash come on. However, did you see all the lights go out? The lights are still out, but if I jiggle the key, well, it's not doing it now. There you go. It comes back on again. So, and the key's on, look, so I turn it off, on, nothing. Off, on. Jiggle the key, all good. Try and start it. All the lights go off, then they come on again. So, I am almost certain there is something wrong with either the key, the barrel, the key and the barrel, the switch behind, the key, the barrel, the switch behind, the barrel, the switch, the key. Something in here isn't quite right. And so I've also tested this with the spark tester. I plugged the spark tester back in, and when it does that, the lights go out. We stop getting spark. What a surprise. And it might not just be spark as well that's affected, but obviously this is all, the ignition's all connected to the fuel pump. So I reckon that that's not only cutting out spark, but it's also cutting out fuel. And so because it's doing this, it is making it absolutely impossible to start the car again. Okay, and if I just shine a light in here quickly, you can see in there where it looks as though someone has tried to get a hold of this key here to change it, and all of that in there is scraped. All of the paintwork is scraped off. Someone has tried to remove this. Now there is a way of doing it. You get two kind of pins like this, and then you put the key in, you turn the key to the accessory position, and then you put one of these pins in there, you put the other pin in there, and then this outer bit pops off. But no matter how hard you try on this, I'm only doing it one-handed, you need both in at the same time. No matter how hard you try and push them in there in whatever configuration, this does not pop off. And I think somebody else discovered that as well, and they've tried to butcher it with what kind of tool, I don't know, and then they've given up. So the first task that I really need to do in here is I need to change this key and barrel and maybe the switch that lives behind it. And by all accounts, this isn't the easiest task in the world. Oh, good. So I just looked up the instructions again. It's I don't know what I was talking about. It doesn't look too bad at all. You have to just prise this centre piece of the steering wheel out. And then I think this just pulls off. There we go. Oh no, it's an Allen bolt. I'm going to round it. What size are you, sir? Ow, can't get my hand in there. Bigger than that. Perfect. Perfect. It's a little bit loose. What is it? 10 mil. But then I've got this other 10 mil bit from a different set, and that fits much more snug. I always find it amazing how all of these tools are just made to such different tolerances. That fits really snugly. And so at the end of the last video, I asked you guys what I should do with this car, and I received, quite frankly, a lot of responses, which I'm very, very grateful for. The channel's got to the point now where I can no longer respond to the majority of the comments like I used to, so apologies, it's just kind of gotten out of hand. I do read them all though, and I very much appreciate your comments, so you know, do keep them coming. I just find it hard to respond. So I asked you what I should do with this car, and I've thought long and hard about it. I'm just gonna... Oh no. Wow. And so I've thought long and hard about it, and I had a lot of people say, take the body kit off, take the wheels off, sell the car, kind of cut your losses, sell the body kit and the wheels because they're worth more, part ways with it. And I had pretty much an equal amount of people saying, no, restore this car, you know, bring it fully back to life. So what I've decided to actually do is meet in the middle. Not if I can't get this steering wheel off though. Come on, just don't round, please don't round. Are you in properly? Oh, I don't like this. Just so you can see what I'm dealing with, there's the Allen bolt, but you can see there's obviously that's you know, it's flush on there, so there's nothing to kind of grip hold of. So if I round that out, I am in a complete world of pain. You know, it's not like there's a bolt and I can get on the outside of it. So let me think. Okay, so it very much seems as though there are lots of people online that have had this very issue, and the solution apparently is to use heat, which doesn't seem like the best idea on account of the fact that, well, that's not metal, this isn't metal, that's not metal, but apparently there's thread locker on the bolt, and you can use a bit of heat to help break the thread locker off. Got a much smaller butane torch. No, wait, hold on a second. Okay, I'm ready. No, because there's cables there. I can smell it. Okay, so I've taken half of this apart, and I already regret it. I've got a piece of metal, some old metal part. I'm just going to put it there to shield some of this plastic and that one cable that I cannot get out. I'm just going to heat right in the centre of the bolt. Oh, where'd that spring just come from? Oh. Hot. Right. YOLO. Oh! Borderline destroyed that bolt. Where's my rachet? So you can see, you can see that I came close to rounding it. Okay, I've just ordered a new one, a genuine one apparently, £12. And then I think it's very important to mark on here with a pen where this wheel sat. Right, you let me get really distracted then, didn't you? Here's what we're gonna do with this car. So if you're not from the UK, we have an annual government roadworthiness inspection for our cars. It's called the MOT test. The MOT inspection, you'll hear everyone here call it the MOT. The MOT on this car runs out on the 2nd of August, which at the time of filming is about a month away from now. Lots of you in the comments said, restore this car fully, and a lot of you said, but it's like half and half, a lot of you said, sell the body kit, sell the wheels, use it to fund equipment and stuff for the workshop, move the car on, either park the car or just sell the car. What I've decided to do is meet somewhat in the middle. I want to get this car through its next inspection in a month. I don't have the skills, the time, or the money to fully restore this car. This car needs to go back to bare metal. So my plan really, rather than restoring, I'm calling it a refurb. I'm going to refurb this car, and I'm probably going to try and use it as a daily for myself for maybe a month or two. We'll give it a new inspection, and then I'll pass the car on to the next owner, and then maybe the next owner will do a little bit more work to it and kind of just keep the car alive, and then maybe that owner will pass it on to the next owner who will just do enough to keep this car alive. Because I mean, I know this channel is called Not Economically Viable, but there are limits, and restoring this car is one of them. And I don't think anyone is ever going to fully restore this car because it will never be worth it. So that's the plan. Get this car into a decent standard. And will this come off now? Yep. Is that it? Is that it? Please. Oh, I don't know. Oh, is it because I've missed that bolt? This is what happens when you try to do things without the instructions. Oh, what's going on? What do I see? Right, that took way longer to get out. And the reason is because you're supposed to be able to take this black security sheath thing off, pop out the barrel, and you can see how long that bit is. It gives you that much extra clearance when you take it out. Taking all of this stuff out, the instrument cluster, the trim and everything, that was an absolute piece of cake. It kind of just pops off, you know, there's some things, what are they, plugs, a couple of light bulbs, that absolute breeze. It was literally just getting that in there and that way, and then managing to get that out enough and turn it all while this black piece is on. So now what I do have to do is I do now still need to work out a way to get this off, but now it's actually out of the car. It should be easier. I've been sat on this sofa for about 45 minutes trying to get this shield off. I finally got it. I had my 2 clips and I was just sitting here the entire time, just prodding away in those 2 little holes and turning it, and just so I now have the shield off, and that's now off of there, so I can fit all those new bits now to this, get this fitted back up to the car and see if that helps solve my gammy ignition problems. Oh wow, that was the fiddliest thing I've ever had to do. Is that a Chesterfield in your workshop? Yes it is. But I mean, I've got a Chesterfield, but I still don't have a bin. So I've still got all my cardboard and just junk lying everywhere, ready to go in the bin. I'm gonna do all of this workshop up. I'm still working off of the old fold-up tables over there that I've just bought straight from the garden, toolboxes and just stuff out of my shed. It's just stuff kind of laying around at the minute, no rhyme or reason. I need to get some toolboxes, some proper toolboxes. I need to get some workbenches. I need to get quite literally everything you could imagine to set up a workshop. This is going to happen over time. I'm not going to just go mad and spend all of that money at once. But for now, we're still on the floor, and this is good enough for me. I am still absolutely over the moon with this place. Look, you can see just junk laying everywhere. I've got that bin, but I don't have my proper outside bin, so just stuff, kind of everywhere at the minute. This will work itself out. Right, let's get all this kind of back together then with the new bits. I mean, the one thing that I did prioritise was got myself a coffee machine, expertly installed on the proper certified coffee stand. And I think that we could do with a name for this place. I want something a little bit more creative than just calling this, the workshop or the unit. Something like Rust HQ, or I don't know, something else that is kind of tied to the channel, relevant for the channel. If you've got any ideas, put it in the comments below and see if there's any good ideas about what we can call this place. Okay, so now what I've done is I've fitted the new switch on the back there. Fits perfectly. The new lock, barrel, tumbler, whatever you want to call it, is in, and this whole thing looks good to me. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually just I'm going to plug all of the electrical gubbins back in, so the big switch on there, the switch around here and everything. I'm not going to actually, fit this back into the steering column, because I just want to check to see how it fares, to be honest with you. And I've also been in here to these plugs. These are the plugs on the back of the switch. There's a couple of other connectors. Now I've been in there just with a little bit of contact cleaner. Just done my best to clean them out, just to give ourselves the best shot. Now, I would like to talk just very briefly about this immobiliser situation. So there you can see the immobiliser hanging, and that just fits up underneath the dash. Eagle-eyed viewers might already have spotted that I've actually stripped quite a lot of this interior already before I started recording. And that's because I'm just trying to work out exactly what's going on with this immobiliser. I'm almost certain that this has already been disconnected. If you actually get underneath the dash, you can see that quite how deep the tentacles of this system actually go. So that's the kind of immobiliser box there, and the wires just disappear up into this loom. They kind of go down here, down there, they go into the sill. The cable runs back across here, it runs behind the radio there, big thick cables, and then it goes down into, there's a box there, and then there's another box there where my finger is. It's not in focus, sorry, but another box there. I think the reason that this car had its immobiliser disconnected in the first place was, if you see this rod here, so that rod is, that's me that's disconnected. That's actually the handbrake, and so that moves like that. So if you look at the loom up here around that bar, you can see there's a load of bare wire, and that's just as a result of rubbing over years and thousands of times of this operating. It's just rubbed through. So I imagine all the cables were shorting each other out, and the previous owner of this car, or a previous owner of this car, was just having massive problems with the immobiliser. So I think what I'm going to do is, I think I might just try and pull a bit more of that immobiliser system out, and some of this alarm system. Ooh, that was somebody buying some merch on the shop. Oh, someone just bought a sticker. Thank you ever so much, whoever that was. What an amazing segue. Noteconomicallyviable.com. You can pick yourself up some merch. We've got t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, this new polo shirt that I'm sporting right here, enamel mugs, all sorts of things. Really helps support the channel. I don't make loads of money off of it, but I like to, it's cool when I see you guys sending me photos and tagging me on Instagram where you got stickers on your cars and sporting the t-shirts and that. Anyway, what was I saying? I'm going to remove this immobiliser stuff, just because the tentacles go so deep, and little bit of weight reduction, if anything. Then the other thing that I want to do, because where I've pulled out the instrument cluster, you can see everything back there. And so I just want to get in here, remove these grounds. These are kind of like, these are main grounds for a lot of the electrical system. And you can see that there's loads of corrosion all around those grounds. It makes sense now just to undo both of those, clean up that metal, and then we know we've got good ground connection, and I don't have to pull this off. And then finally, one other thing is I've been umming and ahhing. I've still got it connected. I've still got my remote starter connected. You can see these cables here. Look, I found where they go to. They go here into the back of the switch, and I think I'm going to keep this in the short term, because having this remote starter setup is actually incredibly useful for me, having to do all of this cranking and stuff, and obviously because I'm here by myself. Right, let me just get some of this done and we'll reconvene. Okay, progress. Okay, so I've been in there using the little Dremel and I've cleaned up those grounds. That's all looking nice. I'm going to refit this instrument cluster now. Oh, where's my light? Okay, I'm going to refit that cluster in there now. Put all these connectors back into it, and I've had a little bit of a clean up. And you want to see the rat's nest that I've pulled out of this car. This is all of the alarm and immobiliser system that I've managed to pull out, including the horn that was in the engine compartment. Now, I'm very much hoping, that this is just for the alarm and immobiliser system, and that I haven't kind of just started cutting through the window switches and whatever else that this car might need to operate. I'm sure I have. We'll find out soon enough. Let's just get this back together temporarily and see if our ignition system's any better. Okay, I got slightly carried away. So I know I said I was going to kind of just put this together somewhat, but I've actually fully put everything back together, apart from the security thing on the outside. Every time, without failure, no matter how much you wiggle it, the pump comes on. Everything appears to be hunky-dory. Now, the eagle-eyed viewers amongst you will notice that, hang on a minute, how come the ABS light isn't coming on when it was before? Well, let me show you. I can be relatively kind of scatterbrain at times, and I get very easily distracted, and a moment ago was one of those moments. So I was just in here and I was vacuuming out the engine bay. I always get in the comments from you guys, oh, why haven't you cleaned the engine bay first? Why haven't you done? So I thought, you know what, I'll oblige them on this, on this occasion. And so I got all down here and everything. There was a load of junk in there, to be honest, and so tried to clean out any kind of drain holes and stuff. And then you've seen this before in a previous video. This is the over voltage protection relay that sits just in there. I thought, oh, you know what, I'll pull that out so I don't damage it. And I pulled it out and damaged it by pulling it out. So I'm never going to listen to anyone ever again telling me you need to clean. So look, that there, that's the, it's hard to see, I'm sorry. That's the socket. So the pins there, they plug into that socket. Now you can see that there's this. Someone has already been in here and repaired this cable at some point. But as I was pulling it out, there's a cable down there. Silly new camera won't focus. There's a cable down there. I've snipped it off now, and that goes into the bottom of that socket. Well, that's this piece, and you can see right there, that cable, that wire has snapped. If I take that out of there you go, you can see that's the female part of the socket, and it just snapped clean off. So I'm going to have to now repair this wire. That's soldered on. I've never soldered anything in my life, and I've just looked online and apparently you can kind of desolder things. What's that got to do with the ABS? Well, this over voltage protection relay, one of its jobs is it provides voltage to the ABS unit. Oh, and just while I remember as well, you're probably going to be as relieved as I am to know that we have windows. Thank heavens. Right, so it's about a week later. I haven't done any of that wiring work that I threatened to do. Instead, the car has been pushed right into the corner of the workshop and it has become an extended storage unit. We're right over in the corner because I've got a rather large delivery turning up today. This car might have to go outside and it's currently raining. So before I get onto the wiring, I actually want to just address the leak. I don't know if you remember in the previous video, this rear passenger footwell was filling with water. Right now, however, it is lovely and dry. I've had the car airing out and I also got in here with my wet vacuum thing. Got a load of the water out. And I've also been in here as well. This was right at the very start. I don't think I mentioned it. I got in here with the mold remover and I just removed as much mold as I could from all the doors, the seats. I gave everything a good scrub. I gave the parcel shelf, I don't suppose you can see that. I gave the parcel shelf a good scrub. Back to this leak. I think I know. I've got an idea, strong idea of where the water is actually coming from. So if you take a look right here at the sunroof, that there is obviously not flush. And if we take a look at the seal, you can see that that's sealed there. It's all sealed up, sealed up, sealed up, and then the seal starts to break away right there. And then if you look at that bit there, can you see where it's kind of like this lip, this metal lip is going over the top of the seal, and in the seals it tucks underneath and it goes all the way like that, right the way kind of up to about here. So I think water is getting in through the sunroof there, then I think it's leaking down the B-pillar, and I think that's why it's going down there and then it's pooling there. So I think what I need to do is I kind of need to open this sunroof, sort out the seal, maybe, you know, peel the seal back, pull the seal back, and then close it again. But the absolute last thing that I really want to do right now is opening this sunroof. I don't think anything good is going to come from me attempting to open this sunroof. Can you hear that noise? That's Sydney. There's a squirrel. There's a tree that runs down the side of this building, and Sydney is always on the roof, just running around, having a bit of a jolly time, interrupting my filming. Okay, so the battery's connected. I'm just gonna try and open this. Oh, you watch from up there and I'll watch from in here. Please, 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 please. Don't do anything too bad. If you even work, that is. How do you do this then? Oh, okay. I can confirm, absolute certainty, that the sunroof doesn't open. Furthermore, but I don't really care about the sunroof actually working. I just care about kind of sealing this up. So I'm thinking I might just try and prise this cover up and then see if I can just fit it back down. Yeah, look, that comes up already, look. And then just kind of fit the seal back into place. Okay, can you see in there that there's just loads of grime and dirt that's kind of looks like it's clogging it up. Yep. Come on. So I was trying to get the sunroof to close and it just wouldn't go down all of the way. There's this thing in the boot, the actual motor's in the boot, and you can operate it manually. And I think I'm going to regret doing this. Look, can you see that? Oh, hey, hey, hey. Yeah. So now, I don't know. Why did I do that? Gonna regret this, aren't I? So I just couldn't get it down flush on this side. Is there anything in the way? Maybe, just maybe, it's this massive piece of rusted off metal. Look at that, there's just rust on this car. Absolutely everywhere. Look at what we're dealing with, look. There's some deep issues on this car. There we go. That is now flush. And I can tell you for a fact, this sunroof is never working again under my ownership. Because, just look at what came out of it. So you can see, it must have been where the sunroof has been open. Obviously it's been letting in, it's just been letting in water. And so that's part of the frame. Yeah, this thing here is snapped. There were just chunks of other metal just laying in the way, preventing it from closing. So all of this stuff together, I mean, I doubt you can ever buy another one of those brackets, maybe out of a scrapyard. If you find one of these in a scrapyard, you'll be okay, but that is now flush, and I'm hoping sealing enough to keep all the water out. This sunroof doesn't need to open again, I just need it not to leak. So then, moving on to this wiring issue. I need to desolder, focus, I need to desolder this connector. I can't just splice a cable on to the existing because it's frayed too close to here. You'll never splice it. So I need to remove this wire here. I've just watched a YouTube video, as ever, on how to do it.
We've covered the basics of soldering and
Soldering.
the tools you need to make
Solder.
sturdy connections that last. But what happens when you want to break those connections? Desoldering
Solder.
can seem a bit of a tedious process.
You can learn pretty much anything on YouTube. It's fantastic. That's how I've learnt most of this. Which probably accounts for why I can be so bad at it. Okay, on. So I've just moved my toolbox onto here because I didn't want to do it on plastic surface. And I have a severe lack of metal surfaces in here as of yet. So how do I know when this is hot enough? Is that doing anything? Oh! Yeah, it's going liquidy. Oh, look, the wire's falling out, look. Oh, look, the wire came out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's working, just. Yeah. So I just cleaned this up with a little bit of this stuff, Scotch Brite type stuff. There we go. Look at that, look, it's come out really, really nice. So I've got these fancy wire stripper things. Watch this is amazing. Oh, yeah. The reason I've actually got all of this wiring stuff is because I plan to rewire from scratch the engine loom for my W124 Mercedes, the one that you've always seen knocking around in the background of my videos. So I've got my 2 bits of wire going into this one thinger, and I think I've just got to solder this now into there, which I'm guessing is kind of just the reverse. I watched another YouTube tutorial and then just put that on there. No, yes. Oh, this is more difficult than it looks. Hey, look at that, look. It's not the prettiest, but it works. That's in there. Okay. Come on, please. Just get on there. Ow, what was that? My foot stuck. Oh, oh. Yes. Okay, so I have done the first bit of proper wiring I've ever done. It's not proper. When you look at it, you'll be like, but you know, I think this is going to work. So I'm just fighting access here. This was very difficult to get to. I didn't film much of it. I had a bit of a struggle. I can only basically just get my fingers in here, let alone the camera. There the old 2 wires there. Just use these butt connectors, these crimp butt connectors, and then into the plug, and inside there is that connector that you saw me solder and desolder. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that plug off. I'm going to put some heat shrink around here just to keep it all in place, and maybe it will provide just a little bit of strain relief on these connectors, and then it will protect it from the heat. And then apart from that, that's good then to plug back into the bottom of the bigger connector, which is down there, and then the OVP relay can get plugged back in. Okay, so it's a couple of days later again. I had a broken Volkswagen Golf to deal with, which was so I am not going to go any further reassembling the interior. I'm instead going to turn my attention to some more engine problems. So obviously the key works in the ignition now, and I know that the fuel pump is just going to run all of the time as it should, right? I need to reset this fuel distributor again because I've fiddled with it some more. But before I even do that, so in the last video I replaced the distributor and cap. So we've got spark, that's all really nice. But you lot are amazing really, because somebody left a comment on the last video to say that it looks very much as though you've got leaking injectors, because when I was jumpering the fuel pump relay to make the fuel pump run constantly, they noticed that basically with the fuel pump running, the injectors were leaking fuel. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to crack one of these injectors off basically, and then I'm just going to show you what I think they were talking about, because it turns out these injectors are actually service items. From what I could gather from my research, these injectors, they were supposed to have been replaced every 75,000 miles on these cars. That was from Mercedes-Benz themselves, not like modern injectors. This car's now done 165,000 miles. I don't know if they've ever been done. So let's just check to make sure that that's true, that they are actually leaking. Okay, so I've pulled this first injector out, just swiveled it round on this pipe, and you can see there it's pointing into this clear bottle, so we should have a good idea of what's going on. I've pulled out the fuel pump relay, I've jumpered the 2 pins, and this is just going to make the fuel pump run constantly, and then with the fuel pump running constantly, this shouldn't leak any fuel. So let's have a look. Okay, so to me, that isn't leaking. You can hear the fuel pump running. As far as I'm concerned, there is no fuel coming out of that injector. It shouldn't come out until I push down on here. There you go, look. You can see and hear it. And I let off the flap, and that injector seals right up nicely. Now, whether the same can be said for all of them, I'm not entirely sure. Let's just turn that off. I'm not sure. However, these are a service item, right? So, knowing that, I've actually gone ahead and I've bought 6 injectors, and it makes sense to just replace them. You know, I want this car to drive nicely down the road, so let's have a look at that quickly. So here they are. These are obviously genuine Bosch injectorees, and you can see that they're brass injectors. These are still readily available, which is amazing, and for a set of 6 was less than £100. I mean, you can see the difference there just looking at them. Less than £100 for a set of 6. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to treat her. I'm not going to pull the other ones out and test to see if they're leaking. I'm just going to go ahead and replace them. And so one of the parts here that we have to deal with is this kind of like plastic sleeve, and as far as I'm aware you can't get these any longer, so you have to be very, very careful pulling them out, because I want to clean them up, because I can see that there's loads of sludge in there. I don't know how easy this will actually come out. Oh yeah, look. Oh, nice. There it is. So that's all of the injectors out, all of those injector seats out, the plastic things. I need to clean up inside all of there, which I'm going to do. You can see here I've made a mess, I realise that. But in here I've got all of the things. They're just soaking in some petrol just for a little while, just to kind of let all of that dirt soak, actually. So that's what they look like at the minute, pre-cleaning. Should put that one in there. Oh, actually I need that. These injector seals, I'm reusing these injector seals because each one of those is £25. And so a set of those seals is more expensive than a set of the injectors. So they look all right to me, you know, from a distance. Hopefully they are fine, but they'll be soaking in there too. I'll take that one off, put it in with the others, they'll all clean up nicely, and then we'll be ready to install those nice new, good looking, pretty, hard working injectors. Okay, so these sleeves, they were chilling out in a cup full of petrol for a couple of hours. They're looking a lot better. All of this blackness there, you can see that's not actually, you know, dirt. It's kind of just stained plastic. It's not coming off with my fingers, but I have got a lot of there was a load of deposits all in these. I've cleaned all of those out now. I gave it a little bit of a brush action as well, and they're all looking quite good, to be honest. And you can see I've fitted new O-rings to all of them. And then you can see that where I poured the petrol out of here, you can see the sludge that was left behind up the side of the cup there, and then down in there. So quite a lot of stuff did come out of these sleeves, and then that comes off as well. Shiny, nice. So there we see 6 brand new injectors installed. There's just something about brass, isn't there, that's just, I don't know if it actually is brass coloured at least. It's just very pleasing to look at. And it's also, I don't know, does anyone else ever do this, but when you fit brand new parts to old cars, there's just something about the contrast that I just find particularly pleasing. Am I being weird with that? I don't know, but it's kind of like the combination of old and new. And I think just the knowledge that we're giving this old girl a bit of love as well. But I haven't put obviously I haven't put the fuel pipes back on yet. And the reason for that is that I think actually, with all of these unplugged, now would be a really good time to reset the KE Jetronic fuel distributor. Okay, so we're going to need to mop up a bit of fuel here, only a little bit. So I've got the fuel pump relay still unplugged. It's jumpered. I still don't know if that's the right word, but it is. We're going to let the fuel pump run continuously. And so the aim of the game here is you're going to make an adjustment on here. This is the CO2 tower, the idle mixture adjustment. It's got a million different names. Ordinarily people say stay away from adjusting this, but we're deep into this and we very much need to. So for the baseline settings, I'm going to plug the battery, I'm going to put the terminal on the battery, the fuel pump's going to run, then all I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this screw until fuel starts coming out of these ports, and then as soon as fuel comes out of those ports, I'm going to go backwards and by about quarter of a turn or half a turn, I think somewhere in that kind of range. And then apparently that's a great baseline setting, and then you have to do further tweaks after that. But for now, let's just get this going. So connect the battery, so you can hear the fuel pump running there. There's no fuel coming out of any of those ports. So I'm just going to start turning this screw. Here it comes. There you go, look, fuel is coming out. So now I'm going to go back almost half a turn, and that should be it there. So I want to unplug the battery, stop that fuel from pumping. Should be a good baseline setting. Okay, so the fuel pipes are all back in now. The fuel pump relay is back in, but before I put that in, I did just check. I let the fuel pump run. I did check for any leaks. We look to be all good. So that's back in. I think everything's done up. I can't think of anything else that might prevent us at this point cranking the engine and just seeing if it starts up. Is she in park? Yeah, she's in park. Right, can you see? Yeah, you can see, can't you? Should we move you just a little bit like that, maybe? Battery. Okay. The fuel pump kicked in. Let's just got my remote starter hooked up again, in case you were wondering. Not quite how I expected this to go, if I'm honest. So me pushing down on the airflow plate there actually helps push fuel into the engine. Go on. Okay. Okay, kind of getting there. I think this. I think the idle adjuster needs adjusting. The idle mixture adjuster. I always forget what it's called. It's one of those names, you know. It was struggling for fuel there, wasn't it? No, that's actually a very smooth idle. So we've got that's about 750 RPM. Let me open the door before I kill myself to death with the fumes. Hey look, she's still going though. She's sounding really, really smooth. Like really, really smooth. I think those injectors have made a massive difference. I think actually as well, you're supposed to really fine tune that when the engine's warm. So I am going to get a little bit of heat into this engine now. And we're going to do an oil change, because if you think of all the times that I've tried to start this car over this video and the last video, there's got to be fuel in the oil. So I don't want to run this for too much longer even now. And I want to drop all the oil out, replace it with some cheap stuff. Replacing it with the cheap stuff, hopefully flush out anything that's in there, any kind of sludge and any fuel. Might run it on that fuel, on that oil for 50 miles, 100 miles, and then I want to do another oil change with some higher quality oil. But look, ladies and gents, I'm pretty pleased with myself. These things, I love working on this stuff way much more than any of the modern junk. This is so much more satisfying. Okay, so I've just manoeuvred the car into a better location now that my delivery is turned up, which is down the back there, which I can't show you just yet. You can probably guess. I think you can see enough as it is. Car's in the middle, obviously, and then as I've pushed it back, we're getting a few drops here of antifreeze. Whoa, what happened there? Come back. Getting a few drops of coolant there. I'm not sure if that's... Ooh. Hello, screw. Okay, yeah. I'll have you. We'll take that. Put that there. I don't know if that's come out just now or because this car's been sitting here for about a week. I don't know if that's multiple locations over a week. Well, is it warm? No, it's stone cold. I'll try and work out. I've clearly got a leak that needs fixing, so I'm going to jack this up now, get underneath it to do the oil, and we'll have a look. So I've got a man filter. Like I said, I'm going to do another oil change on this real soon, so I haven't gone for, you know, Bosch or anything like that. I know people can be sticklers for that kind of thing. I hope this is the right size. So I did manage to get the filter and a new sump plug. When was the last time that this sump plug was off? Oh wow, that's has that been welded? Is this going to shear off? No, it's just going to round off. Oh goody. Oh my word, look at that. Somebody has been on this before. You see how it's, well, you can just see all the welding on it. Someone has had to weld the plug, I imagine, to try and get a socket on there, and then they've probably failed. So this is fun. Now it's down to me to get that out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I've got my bolt extractor. What a lovely set of them. These are just off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description where you can get these, because these have saved my bacon more times than I care to count. There's almost nothing these things haven't gotten out previously, so this is the closest one. This is a half inch one, which is just about tight enough, so just smack it on. And then just kind of crank on it, and the teeth dig in. I've got a horrendous feeling about this. Oh, it doesn't feel good. All right, I need a bigger bar. Uh-oh. Oh, did I get it? Yeah, got it. Lovely. Honestly, get yourself a set of these. Did I say I'll put a link in the description? I'm going to, because they're just brilliant. That just got that off. There you go, look. Right, where's this gonna land? I never get it right. But unlike working on my driveway, if I do spill some here, I can just mop it up really easily rather than getting it all stuck in the tarmac. Yes. One day I'll just get it right. So I've just jacked the car up just so it's flat. Did put a load more oil out. It's good when you do something right for a change. So the car is back on the ground. Now it's time for this oil filter, which you just know is not going to come off, don't you? What tool should I use? Okay. Cooper's Fiam. I don't even think I've got the pronunciation messed up for once. Cooper's Fiam. Oh, Fiam. Bit of old fiam. Okay, okay. So when I said I'm going to put a load of cheap oil in, I mean I really did mean cheap oil. This is Halford's own brand, 10W40. If you're outside the UK, Halford's, our Halford's, I think is equivalent to Harbour Freight in the US, if I've got that correct. But like I said, I'm going to put that in, leave it 50 miles or so, and then we'll change it for some nice stuff. Oh, hang on, that's because I'm doing it wrong. Honestly, if you started watching this video and you've never been on this channel before and you think I have any idea what I'm doing, you'd be sorely mistaken. Maybe I don't need that, maybe I can just... Absolutely bang on the money. Right, lovely stuff. Now, I suppose the question is, will this car start up again nicely, or am I going to have a fight with it now every time I want to start it? Let's have a look. Okay, that required a little bit of cranking, as I'm sure you just heard. So I'll need to get to the bottom of that. I think I have read that cranking issues can be down to the adjustment. So there might still be some adjustment on the airflow meter that needs to take place. However, once it is running, that's quite nice. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put the airbox assembly back on, and then I think we should jam this car on the road, take her for another test drive, see how she fares. No, wait, I'm being silly, aren't I? I didn't look at the, oh no, I didn't look at the coolant leak. Oh, I put the car back down on the floor as well. Oh, I got so carried away with the oil change, I forgot to look at the... It gets worse. I haven't even put the steering wheel back together properly, or the indicator stalk, or any of the column. Really getting ahead of myself. What a muppet. Okay, so it is the next day, and I made a little bit of progress last night. Let me just show you where we're at. So as you can see, the airbox is all on. I hunted and hunted and hunted for that coolant leak, and I cannot find it. And since moving the car backwards, underneath, there's no coolant leak again. It just hasn't done it again. So I'm not entirely sure what to make of it. When you can see in here, there's evidence of an old coolant leak. You can see the red crystals on that hose, but that's not leaking. That is definitely old. I couldn't see anything. That was pretty much full. I've topped it up with coolant, but I mean, we're talking just the most minimal amount. So I don't know. I think I'm just gonna have to, I don't know, come back to it, I think, when it inevitably pours out, you know, drops all of its coolant on a motorway somewhere nowhere near home. I think that's when I'll be dealing with that issue. But yeah, anyway, so that's all back up, that's all good. And then if we take a look inside, you can see everything is now back together. So obviously all the steering wheel's back on. So there's a new, this is the old one, there's a new steering wheel bolt in there. They're still readily available from Mercedes. This is all assembled nicely again. So if I, that's all working, all the horns good. And then I came in here as well, and I've reinstalled all of the interior, so all of the panels, everything is in there nicely, and also for the first time, because this car didn't come to me like this, in the passenger footwell, that interior bits are all installed, and I've even gone as far as to glue on this piece had come off, that fascia handle thing, and my very cool Pioneer tape player. That's very cool. This does somewhat work. Yeah, but very happy with this. The one thing as well that I want to sort out is this on the seat. That's incredibly rough. It tickles your back. It's not very nice. I was thinking about just putting a cover over this seat, but what I've actually done instead was I've been on eBay and I've purchased this. Now I realise that's a completely different design, so you can see, look, and then but this was only £20 delivered. So I thought, oh, you know what, why not? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take that back off, and then just put this one in, because it's quite nice, and you know, that'll mean I can drive along not getting itched to death. Now I was going to take this car straight out for a spin, but there's a massive truck outside doing a really big delivery, so we're hemmed into the unit right now. So I need to turn my attention instead to, I think, the first bit of bodywork. I want to address both of the front wings. So as you've seen before, you know, there's just a hole. There's a hole in it. That's all bashed and bished in right there. And then of course that's broken. Now, again, I've been on eBay and I managed to pick up a second-hand one of these. I think this was also about £20. That's in really good condition, so I'm going to fit that, but I'm actually going to remove both of these front wings. And what I've got hiding up here is another eBay purchase, because I quite literally buy everything on eBay. Someone was selling 2 of these essentially for the price of 1, so I purchased them. And what we've got here are basically two pattern wings that some old boy had in his shed. They were hanging around for a long time and never found a use for them. This is the first time I've actually I've actually looked at them, and I'm hoping that they're straight and they've not got any dents or anything. No, that looks spot on, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, there's a tiny little nick there, but quite literally anything's going to be better than the wings on this car. And so I'm thinking, just pull these off and then put these on. So they're primered, they're not actually painted, but I think if I just put them on now to begin with, we can come back and paint them in the not too distant future. You know, and those wings are just going to be a massive improvement. You know, just a tiny bit more respectable. I know we've got all of the other rust and junk going on in the rest of the car, but we've got to start somewhere, and I think it should definitely be with these wings. So, I mean, just looking at those, where all the bolt holes and that are, I think it's going to be a case of undoing these. There's going to be some down there. Yeah, I'm just going to crack on, see if I can get this wing off. So that's rotted out at the bottom. 10 mil. Oh my god, the rust under here is atrocious. Like, really bad. Oh, that ball joint's seen better days as well, actually, now I come to properly look at it. Out. Out. Yeah. Oh. That's crusty. Oh. too late now to even pretend that I haven't seen that. There is no nut left on there whatsoever. I'm going to take a really unorthodox approach just to just so I can get in there somewhat. There's probably loads of people watching going, no, don't, that wing can be saved. I mean, everything can be saved, but there's absolutely loads of these things, even original second-hand ones on eBay, and there's people selling new old stock ones. Like, there's no point. Oh boy, that's a lot worse than it seems when you glance at it from the outside. Oh, right, so this is what we're dealing with. So it's not too shabby in there, to be honest, from just what you can see on the surface. It gets uber crusty down there. Not sure how well you can see that. Where's my... And then this is where it starts getting really bad, right there. And then this part of the car is just not even joined together, look. And so this is the mounting point that I was just trying to get off. There's nothing left of that bolt in there. This is all snapped away. I mean, that's a hole where there shouldn't be a hole. This bracket in there is rotted away. This whole area of the car is simply rotted away, to be honest with you. Look. And so here's my issue with this. So if you're outside the UK, we have an annual government inspection. It's called an MOT, and it's a really quite rigorous test. It's a safety test that your car has to pass in order to stay on the road. This car is nowhere near old enough to not have to qualify for one. If your car is over 40 years old, you don't have to have an MOT. This car very much needs one. And just from what I can see here, it's got me a little bit worried about actually getting through the next one. I know I said I was gonna put this through another MOT, but I think this needs way more work than you might originally think. Now I can see it here, and I've only exposed one of the wings. I haven't even looked at the other one, and I haven't even like properly looked at underneath this car yet. Now, one of the jolly things about being in this unit is I'm surrounded by car people. I have an MOT tester as a next door neighbour. I'm going to see if he's available, and I'm going to get a second opinion, because this is going to dictate whether or not I even bother going any further from here. So it is the next day. I took a bit of advice on this car, and the results of said advice were so poor that I simply downed tools and went home because I was so gutted. I'm in now at the weekend in my civvies, so just to record this bit of the video. This car basically is borderline terminal, and there's been some really kind of dodgy goings on with it that I need to tell you about. I've been thinking all night about what to do with this car, knowing what I know now. I can't save this car. Everything I've done up to this point now is all kind of for naught. I can't save this car. It needs way too much work. What I thought was just going to be, a bit of kind of refurbing work, a little bit of a revival, get it going again, get it back on the road, is very, very much not the case. I have been lied to quite comprehensively about this car. I think people throw around the word scam probably a bit too much. Probably guilty of it myself in the past. But, right, let me show you some things. Okay, so the MOT tester that I showed it to, he just had a really quick kind of little look around it and said to the effect of, if you brought this car to me for an inspection, he said, I'd be able to just kind of walk around it very gently like that and then just wheel it out of my workshop and just give it back to you. There'd not even be any point in testing this car. Okay, so just like literally one of the points. So I knew there was this corrosion down there. Now, I've just poked a hole in it to see how bad it was, and that's basically the extent of the hole. You could very much see this that was corroded before I did that. You know, I'll try and get something on screen now to show you what it was like before I started poking holes in it. Now, this right here, that's the top of the shock absorber. You can't have any corrosion, not a hole, you can't have any corrosion within 30 centimetres of a structural element like that. I just measured it, that's 18 centimetres, right? And this hole would have been developing for quite some time. You saw it, I'm pretty sure you saw it yesterday, I showed you. I mean, there's just large parts of the car, I mean, look. It's just missing, it's completely gone, right? Same kind of story, it's starting to come through round there. There are some large issues that I didn't see because I haven't been looking, right? There are lots of things in this car where I haven't been looking for it, so I've missed some really, really big things. And the reason that I've missed them is because, well, we need to talk about the MOT history on this car. So anyone can go and look, it's public record in the UK. You can go and have a look at the MOT history online. Here's the registration on the screen, and I'll put a link in the description if you can go and have a look at it yourself. The MOT tests in this country are very rigorous, and you're supposed to be able to trust them. So this car was last tested just under a year ago on the 3rd of August 2023. And apparently it's got a completely clean MOT. That means that there are essentially, you know, no issues with this car. You know, structural issues, mechanical issues. This is a very, very good result. You can see it did fail on the same day because one of the tyres had a cut in it. So that would have probably been repaired, right? I don't know. Well, I do know. And so I bought the car sight unseen because you look at this MOT history and you think, that is a car that's actually in amazing condition. And so when the seller told me that this car was just a non-runner, I just thought, oh, there's going to be something wrong with the engine, maybe a bit of mechanical things that has happened since this, we're good to go. It's very much not the case. You know, like I said, you're supposed to be able to trust this. You really are supposed to be able to trust this. If you're a garage, if you're an MOT tester, and you lie, the consequences are, they're bad. They're bad for you. You can lose your ability to do it, you can get prosecuted, all of this. So apparently, the only thing wrong with this car is nothing. Go back to 2022. You can see here, down here on this fail, there was a few things out. Windscreen washer provides insufficient fluid. Position of the headlight lamps and stuff. There was a problem with one of the shock absorbers. And then the next day, a pass. No issues whatsoever. None of this rust has been picked up. You go to 2020. Again, it passed there with a clean MOT. Quite a few days before that, however, on the 28th of November, so it passed on the 10th, on the 28th of November, it had quite a lot of stuff wrong with it. You can see one of the things here, offside front subframe mounting prescribed area is corroded to the extent that control of the vehicle is likely to be adversely affected. And then there's another one, offside front inner subframe, a similar one. Now, I can tell you that issue has not been fixed. And it doesn't even look like someone's tried to fix it, ever. It's very much prevalent. But you can see on the 10th of December when it was retested, no mention of it. I'm not trying to be dramatic here. I'm not going to show you any of these issues because I'm in a position now where you saw me in the last video, I drove this car on the public road. And I could be opening myself up to all sorts of kind of liability, maybe. You know, I'm telling you these issues are there. I just don't want to show you because I just don't want to show you, basically. I'm just trying to protect myself a little bit here. And here's the thing. As the owner of this car, I get visibility that you guys, members of the public, don't get. And I can see the garage that did these MOT tests. And I can tell you that from here, from where it starts getting troublesome, in 2018, it was the same garage did all of these MOTs right up until the recent one where it was a different garage. So it's the same MOT tester, and if you're watching this, I do know who you are. I've got all of your details, obviously, from this. I hope you're worried about what I might do, because if you're doing this to other cars that are on the road, this car is not safe, to be on the road. I've really dug into it now and had a look around it, and there is no way this car, when you really look into it, is safe to go on the road. I know I did, but like I said, I wasn't really looking at it. I was just excited to drive the car here because I trusted that in the space of a year, the issues this car does have shouldn't have been there, right? There's down there is a whole other story. If I go around the back and look underneath, it's the same thing. Look, I mean, there's one thing that I will show you, just to give you an idea of the kind of jokery that goes. Look, this exhaust is being held on by a piece of rope that has been there for a long time. It's rusted through. The exhaust is just like rusted through. And I'll show you a little bit of something there. Look, I mean, it's just, this is rust around all of the structural components on the back, all of the structural components on the front. Absolutely no mention of them whatsoever on any of the MOTs. And because this car needs so much work, and I can't weld yet, I'm working on it. It's just too much. It's just way too much. This car is, unless you can weld and you want to bring this back to life, yeah, that's great, that's fine. But for me, this stops here. It just stops here. I'm absolutely gutted about it. I'm really gutted about it. I thought this was genuinely going to be a daily, but whoever owned this car, you've done a bad thing, you have. You've done a very bad thing. And to the seller who sold me this car, so I'm a little bit worked up. I apologise for being a bit angry, but the truth of the matter is, I am angry. I'm not worried about any financial hit on this car, because these wheels and that body kit are genuine and they are worth quite a bit of money. And so I'll easily be able to get my money back, plus a bit more, from anything that I've done to this car, from the purchase price and that by selling them. I'm not worried about that. I'm just very annoyed that basically I've been scammed on this car. I know a lot of you are thinking, you're saying, oh, well, you should have gone and viewed it. You should have. Yeah, I know, but that's not how I do things. I don't have the time to go all around the country with all of these cars, viewing them all. You know, they've largely played out okay when I've done this before. You know, that is what it is. It's a gamble I take, and whatever. At the end of the day, it's been sold as something it isn't. And the question is now, do I report those two garages that are clearly dealing out fake MOTs? I don't know. I don't have the time or the money to be sued, and that's where I find myself. That's why I haven't named and shamed, because if they decide to take me to court, I've got other things to spend my money on. I'd like to, but I think now would be an amazing time if you could to hit the subscribe button, make me feel a little bit better about this whole situation. I have got some other cars planned. We've got other stuff in the works that's not going to end up as badly as this. I'm looking forward to seeing you then. Make sure that when you go and buy cars, you go and have a look at them. You win some, you lose some. I lost this one. See you soon.